Hello and welcome to From the South, teleSur's daily news show. We kick it off first in Latin America. Residents of a favela in Rio de Janeiro are lashing out against the government. This comes after a 43-year-old woman was caught in a deadly crossfire and killed. Mourners say the government spent too much to secure foreigners at the Olympic Games, while locals continue to die in nearby neighborhoods. Hundreds of thousands marched in Chile's main cities on Sunday, calling for an end to the pension system left from the dictatorship of Augusto Pinochet. Protesters say the pension funds do not guarantee a dignified old age and only perpetuate inequality. President Michelle Bachelet has proposed a series of reforms to the private pension system that would require heftier contributions from employers and independent workers in order to boost payments for retirees. Iran says it's always been on the side of the Cuban people against U.S. imperialism. This according to the country's foreign minister Mohammad Javad Zarif during his visit to Cuba to initiate bilateral relations. Cuba's foreign minister Bruno Rodriguez also expressed support for Iran's foreign policy. He said that Cuba supports Iran's right to develop nuclear energy with peaceful ends. Iran's foreign minister is on a 6-day tour of Latin America with planned visits to Chile, Nicaragua, Bolivia, and Venezuela. A well-known Haitian rights activist has lashed out against the United Nations after the group acknowledged its possible involvement in the introduction of cholera to Haiti 6 years ago. The epidemic has resulted in 770,000 infections and over 9,000 deaths. Argentina's Supreme Court says that the government must hold public hearings before reducing home heating gas subsidies. This comes after the court suspended some of the rate hikes increases that President Mauricio Macri initiated to, quote, normalize the economy. Shortly after his election to office, Macri slashed national gas subsidies, sending household bills soaring and sparking massive protests. On to world news. Amas al-Faki al-Mahdi, a Malian fighter, has pleaded guilty at the International Criminal Court in the first ever case of a suspect charged with war crimes against a World Heritage Site. Al-Mahdi is accused of attacking 9 heritage sites in Mali. It's the first time that an ICC war crimes defendant has pleaded guilty. The death toll has risen to 54 who were attacked by a teenage suicide bomber during a Kurdish wedding on Saturday. Among the dead were at least 22 children. 66 people were injured. Authorities are seeking to identify the child suicide bomber, who they say acted on behalf of the Islamic State group. The Philippine government and communist rebels have opened peace talks in Norway. They're seeking to end nearly 5 decades of conflict that has killed tens of thousands of fighters and civilians. The government says it hopes to reach a peace deal within a year. Hundreds of protesters marched to the presidential villa in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. They demanded that the government take urgent action to rescue Chibok schoolgirls who were kidnapped from their secondary school in April 2014. The march comes 1 week after Boko Haram released a video showing recent footage of some of the girls. A memorial service for the victims of the transatlantic slave trade was held in London's Trafalgar Square on Sunday. The event came amid commemorations of International Slavery Remembrance Day on August 23rd. Organizers hope the event will continue to grow each year.
UN Coordinator for Humanitarian Aid and Development Activities in the Occupied Palestinian Territory, Robert Pepper, urged Israel to decide the fate of hunger-striking Palestinian prisoners in the Israeli jails, amid a recent wave of strikes by Palestinian prisoners to protest their administrative detention without a trial or charge. In a statement published Saturday, Pepper said he was deeply concerned about the deteriorating health of Palestinian detainee Bilal Kayed, who has been refusing food for 67 days for rejecting his arbitrary confinement. The UN official also called on Israel to charge or release all detainees without delay.
The Palestinian prisoners are facing slow death. This requires grassroots, official, diplomatic, and media action from Palestine. The case of Palestinian prisoners should also gain momentum in the Arab media. We're waiting for this action. The Arabs are completely responsible for anything bad that may happen to our prisoners.
6 other Palestinians held in Israeli prisons have been refusing food to protest their administrative detention, including journalist Omar Nazzal. 100 others have launched hunger strikes in solidarity with Kayed and his hunger-striking followers. According to the Palestinian Prisoners Committee, more than 7,000 Palestinian prisoners are currently held under Israeli custody, many of them arbitrarily without a charge or trial. Nur Harazin, teleSur TV, Gaza.
And finally, Speedo, Ralph Lauren, and hair removal company Cinnarone Candela have all dropped their sponsorship of disgraced U.S. swimmer Ryan Lochte. Speedo said it would donate $50,000 of Lochte's sponsorship fee to the charity Save the Children's Brazilian operations. And that's all for From the South. More on these and other stories on our website, telesurtv.net/English.